And it's Ken Kraetzer for Marketing Club of New York and CBSI Talking Business, and looking forward to one of our big events in the Marketing Club of New York. That's going to be on September 20th. It's a webinar starting 1 o'clock, and we have one of the participants in the panel discussion that day, and that is Lou Mastria, who is the CEO of the Digital Advertising Alliance. Lou, good to see you today. How you doing?
I'm great, and thanks for having me, Ken. Thank you to the Marketing Club of New York for agreeing to do this. Delighted to be able to help out in any way we can when it comes to educating the marketplace.
Absolutely. Well, tell us a little bit about your organization, the Digital Advertising Alliance, the work you're doing to give consumers preference on the ads that they're going to see. Tell us a little bit about how it all works.
Sure. So the Digital Advertising Alliance has been around for a little over a decade. We were founded by the major ad trade associations in the space: 4As, ANA, IAB, DMA at the time. A few others have joined, we were founded to try and solve a problem that the Federal Trade Commission and folks on Capitol Hill had raised about transparency and control around behaviorally targeted ads, tailored ads. And so what we came up with was the Ad Choices program. Many folks will know the little blue triangular icon that's on the web. It's been served at a rate of 1 trillion times a month globally, so we feel pretty good about our ability to deliver on real-time privacy notice and control on that. And it's been a winning solution in the U.S. here. It's been very successful at giving consumers the kind of transparency and control that they demand, and giving brands and publishers a way to talk very proactively to consumers in kind of a privacy-friendly way about these kinds of topics that, you know, sometimes you sort of leave to the lawyers, unfortunately. And this gives a consumer-friendly way to do that. And I think, you know, one of the success metrics that we love is not just the scale of the program, but also the fact that now it's in 38 countries and hopefully to become 39 later on this year. So we do have a kind of plug and play model that many multinationals use.
Very good. Well, on September 20th, you're joining the panel that's going to be moderated by Michele Fitzpatrick of Marigold, and also Jason Bier of Adstra, and Ken Dreifach of ZwillGen. And Ken Dreifach brought up in our talk about the patchwork of state laws governing data privacy, and how hard that is for brands to work with, and does that really serve the interests of consumers? What's your thought on the patchwork of state regulations? Is there potential of getting to a national regulation standard?
It's a great question, Ken. The reality is the U.S. needs a national privacy law, period. Full stop. This idea that you can have differing standards from state to state is really not just difficult for the companies that have to deploy these various and often confusing and not really aligned standards, but it's also confusing to consumers. You know, if I'm in California and I travel to New York, I get something different, and why should I? And so, you know, things like self-regulation cover that a little bit by creating a universal standard that that everybody can attach to. Now, you know, obviously you have to do what the law says, and there's probably a lot of lawyers in the room who are going to advise their clients that way, and they should. However, sometimes the law is not enough. It's one thing to be legally compliant. That may not be what the consumer is asking for. And so we see that a lot when we talk to consumers and we talk to them about privacy and control and transparency. A lot of times what they're asking about is, how do I, for example, turn down the number of ads that are tailored to me? I just want them to be generic, not necessarily something, opting out altogether of the data ecosystem because they see some value and relevance in it. A lot of these laws do create this floor, but then having that kind of, sometimes difficult conversation about privacy, that's where we step in. That's where we can kind of create a way to be honestly consumer friendly about that and give brands and publishers a way to proactively talk to consumers about this issue. That's not in the law. That's, it's something that we developed. It's something that we brought to the market. It's effectively a privacy enhancing technology or process that we popularized. And we're delighted that there are, folks out there in the privacy community who've taken hold of this. And frankly, even some of the laws have tried to imitate it in some ways. But until you get to a national, or in our case, multinational standard, you really do leave the consumer in a bad spot. And so you do want to pay attention to these kind of industry codes, because that's how you get not just legal compliance, but how you get to trust.
Well, Lou, we're going to look forward to hearing your comments and contributions at the webinar on September 20th on privacy, navigating the privacy landscape. I have a feeling AI is going to come up in the discussion, but tell us, if you would, just tell us a little bit about the path of your career, some of the stops along the way for you.
Yeah, sure. I've been part of the marketing community now for probably going on 20, 25 years. I came in kind of an odd situation. The Direct Marketing Association was looking for, this is in the late 90s, they were looking for someone who sort of understood computers and internet and stuff, which was still pretty early in those days, to do some public affairs work around, at that time, internet taxation. I was with them for a few years when the issue of privacy became very top of mind for a lot of folks, and have been working in that space ever since. After the DMA, I went to the company that ultimately became Oracle Advertising out in Colorado. Then I was the chief privacy officer at a consortium of cable companies called Canoe Ventures, before taking this role leading the Digital Advertising Alliance.
Well, Luke, we're going to look forward to seeing you on September 20th on the Marketing Club of New York webinar, Navigating the Privacy Landscape. You're going to have a lot of great contributions on that topic. And we appreciate you joining us today for a few minutes to preview that event.
My pleasure, Ken. Thank you very much for doing this, and look forward to seeing you on the Zoom in a few days.
Absolutely.
Have a great weekend.
You too. And this is Ken Kraetzer. I'm with CBSI. And this is for the Marketing Club of New York, September 20th, about a 1 o'clock start. Our annual privacy event, Navigating the Privacy Landscape, should be a terrific event. Our thanks to Lou Mastria joining us today, giving us a bit of a preview, the CEO of the Digital Advertising Alliance.
Thanks, Ken.
Good to see you. This is Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Talking Business.